to another video. The only way I can describe this is like Banana Man's intro, where it was at number 57 Acacia Ave lives Eric, who has a secret. He's Banana Man. In a little housing estate in the middle of nowhere, you open a garage and you've got a Group B genuine Metro 6R4. And not only that, it's the one from Forza Horizon. So let's get into this. Let's have a look at this beautiful machine.
Anyone's out to do with car really. Drivers, Daily Welling, a few others. The guys who built the engine, Bob Farley, Brian O'Rourke from Williams, Formula 1. We've got 20 shows, anyone must have driven one in anger at the time or worked on that team, so it's
The more history of the car, the better, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Because they're not going to do stuff like this every again. You call it without paddle gaps?
No.
It was made to go fast, and that's all that matters. So they say sometimes don't meet your hero, but I can tell you now, this is a special time for me. I'm smiling from ear to ear. I don't think there's a person around my age who doesn't remember the Group B era, and to be stood next to a genuine Metro 6R4, this thing is absolutely beautiful, and it's an absolute privilege to be a part of this journey. We've been invited over to NY500 over in Pickering, and this car will be on display over there from this afternoon. So they invited us over to follow the full trip of where it's come from, to put onto the trailer and over to the cafeteria for where it'll be on display. Let's get on the road, let's follow the journey, and let's get over to NY500. Over. We're only about 2 minutes from NY500. What we're doing is we're just going to put some heat into the car. These Group B rally cars are very temperamental. They need a bit of heat so they start nice. With the people waiting in the car park, we don't want to be pulling up and spending 20 minutes trying to get this thing going. So we're going to get some heat in here so that it'll fire up so everyone who's waiting can just see it start up and drive off the trailer. So a bit of behind the scenes. Yes. We're literally going to go for a small drive up the road. Bit of a dream, this. First, second, third. Where's reverse?
Reverse is, it's like up towards first, if you like, left and up.
Oh,
yeah,
right,
it's
okay.
a lift and
Right, okay.
then up. Kill switches down there,
Yeah.
gauges down there. If you just periodically have a little glance at it, it should
Yeah.
be somewhere between like 40 and 50 when it's running.
No problem.
Other than that, it should be all right.
Right, let's have a...
It's not,
I can't get over this.
wow.
This is mind blowing, mate. I feel 13. This is mind blowing. I only came to film the car, never mind have a go in it. It's a dream, and then this is more than a dream. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. YouTube videos ended up me in a Group B Metro 6R4. I can't explain it. I can't explain this feeling. It is absolutely mind blowing. Me and my son are in a Metro 6R4. What? How have we done this? I know it's been only a short drive. I can't describe how much of a dream that is. I'll be smiling for days to come. This is one to be ticked off the bucket list. Speechless. What are we doing, Robert? What are we doing in an £500,000 Metro 6R4? How have we flagged this? How have we flagged this, Robert? Listen to the diffs. Creak. Brought along your Metro 6R4.
Yep.
So obviously the day's been around the Forza, the game.
Yeah.
How did that come about? What's the story behind it?
That came about via 6R4.net. Nicky Linden, who's been a good friend of mine for a long time, 6R4 enthusiast, he got in touch with me, said that Turn 10 Studios, which is Microsoft's gaming arm, had been in touch saying they wanted an original Clubman 6R4 to digitise and put into the upcoming Forza Horizon game. Nicky knew that I had one, tucked away, so kindly got in touch. And a chap called Fred Russell from Turn 10 Studios was flown in from America.
Wow.
And we met him, and he photographed the car from every conceivable angle, inside and out, even down to having the wipers running to see how fast the wipers ran.
So was that done on your driveway? Was that done in the studio, or where was that done?
It needed a bit of space to do it, so we did it in the local train station car park, of all things.
Wow.
So,
did they do the exhaust recording of the car when they're doing it?
well, that's one thing they didn't do. No, they didn't have to do it. Because obviously we couldn't really generate the sort of noises it would make on the stage. So they've sampled the rally car noises from similar spec cars, but they didn't do ours on the day there. I was fully expecting to think, how's he going to get a 6R4 at 8,000 revs
RPM,
in a train station car park?
Told me a story early on about the rear mud flaps. What's the story behind the rear mud flaps?
Yeah, typically they're not on it just at the minute, just because I've been doing some tinkering with the back suspension. But when I bought the car, I've always liked flapping mud flaps. Group B cars always seem to have the flapping flaps. So me and my son bought some blue K-Lan and made some rear mud flaps, front and rear mud flaps, and fitted them to the car. But of course, when Fred came over to photograph the car, he says, I've been told it's got to be bog standard. Can't have anything that's been changed from how it rolled out of Longbridge. So any bits that I'd taken out of the car and changed for reliability or to let us do any historic motorsport events like the seats and harnesses, I had to bring the original seats, which they then photographed and digitally put back in. And he, at the end of the day of taking the pictures, he says, is there anything else that I need to know, anything else that's non-standard? And I said, no, I think that's it now. You've got everything, all the original bits. And a month or so later, he sent me the screenshot through, a screen grab of how the car was going to look on the video game, and says, one final look, can you just see, is there anything that we've missed, anything non-standard? And I said, well, it's got the blooming blue flaps on it that me and my son made them in our kitchen. They were never standard. And he goes, yeah, but the Microsoft guys just liked them, so they stayed on.
Brilliant. So you and your lad have made these mud flaps in your kitchen. You bolted them on and they stayed in the game.
They stayed in the game, so that's how we can identify it, yeah.
What was the feeling like when you opened the container and there's your Metro?
It's one of those, makes your knees go a little bit, my knees go a little bit wobbly, because it's real. We'd saved up for all those years. It was a special moment, really, and it made it all worthwhile.
And someone's gone, there's your keys to your Metro 6R4.
It put such a smile, not just on my face, but to see your face when we had a ride.
Massively.
When we go to events, historic motorsport events where we've got a track element to it, that passenger seat never cools down. It's just passenger after passenger, all hopping in for a bit of a ride. Everyone's getting that 6R4 experience. I know what it means to them, because it would have meant exactly the same to me. I've got photos sat in one in a showroom in 1985, big beam on my face, and everyone gets out with the same big crazy grin.
Nowadays is when I go to shows and I see other shows, is you've always got to think of the future generation of the petrol heads. So you don't know that you're putting someone who's 8-9 years old in your passenger seat going for a drive, and before you know it, in 20 years' time, they're the next generation who want to buy these cars, look after these cars and maintain them. Definitely,
and that's the bit that thrills me, where the Forza bit comes in. When we take the car to show, so many people come up and talk about the car. People of, can you say, if you like, a similar age, who stood in the snow and watch these things. But then you'll see an 8-year-old come run up and say, oh, Dad, it's a 6R4. I was driving this last night on Forza, and it's perpetuated it. The Group B lives on through, and bits like the video game, which completely baffles me, to be honest. It's given the car a new lease of life, and it thrills me that young people know what it is. And if it's an event where I'm allowed to do so, if I can strap them into that passenger seat and take them for a bit of a blast, hopefully then they'll have the same sort of dream. Fantastic. And hopefully they'll take me out in their car in a few years' time.
Well, what we're saying is when we was in the car, is to return the favour. At some point, I'm going to bring the twin-engine Corsa over here, and I'm going to invite Gary over, and I will go up the street and I will go as fast as I humanly possibly can in that car to give you an experience slightly different. Being in the Metro, if you closed your eyes and I had just the rear engine running on mine, it's identical. So the feeling, the sound, the noise, the smell,
the smells, everything
is unbelievable in the rear engine cars. I just want to say thank you for
You're more than welcome.
Experience today.
Oh, no, cheers.
It's been absolutely brilliant. So we've got it in the workshop now. So we're going to have a walk around, just a general outside view, and I'm going to talk about this car in particular. So talking to the owner, you will have seen the interview a minute ago. He bought this car, which is a mind-blowing figure. The car he bought in 2008, he paid £30,000 for it. That's a mind-blowing number. The car came from America. Story goes, the businessman who bought it in America saw the episode of Top Gear where the Group B era collapsed. In the workshop of Rover was all these Metro 6R4s that were all up for sale. And because it had collapsed, the cars were worthless. The businessman flew over from America and bought this car. And brand new, out the workshop, he paid £13,400. I'd buy 10 of them tomorrow for that kind of price. So let's dive in a little bit and let's have a look at the nitty-gritty. One of the nice features that I really like, which shows these cars of what detail they went into, because you've got to always think, why do you choose a Metro? Because space is limited, is this part. So this here is the roll cage, and they've had to blend it all in to the actual A-post. So can you imagine when this came off the production line, they had to physically stop production, put the cage on, put the roll cage in. So if you look over this area, you can see where it runs inside the A-post and all the way down. Now, would I trust that in a rollover? No, probably wouldn't. And then also an interesting fact is, obviously these were built in the 80s, pressure bends. These are all pressure bends from non-mandible benders. Very interesting. Again, nowadays not really allowed in rallying. Standard Metro dash. And look at the mileage. It's been nowhere. This thing's like brand new. Dogleg gearbox. Very, very hard to get into gear. Obviously, you will have seen I've just had a bit of a driving experience, which is mind-blowing in itself. Very hard to drive. Gearbox very stiff, but again, 1980s boxes, they're not going to be very nice. Old school fuse box, nothing like nowadays. Again, everything's gone to PDMs. Really old school, but very, very tidy. Some of the rally cars I've seen in the past, you know, untidy, they're fit for purpose. But this is a clubman car, so obviously more refined, more nicer little options in there. But again, still very, very tidy. The thing that does make me laugh, this is the ECU. The size of that thing to control the engine. Nowadays, they're the size of, your size of your phone. That thing is ginormous. And other little details, building a Metro 6R4 rally car, we'll stick the standard door cards on. But hey, it's part and parcel of its character. Getting in here, again, this is all factory. So if you look, there is not a single oil pressure gauge, which is, in these things, with the temperamental of the engine, the risk factor of destroying the engine being such a one-off as it is, if you go into the history of the engines, you'll see how one-off they are. You'd want an oil pressure gauge. So the owner has put a little one there. It's going to be an interesting one. Let's get around the back and let's look at the engine. Dived into the back. The XT220 was a V6 twin turbo. Beautiful engine. And again, what I like to see is old school little bits that you pick up on here, there and everywhere. We've got old style Bosch injectors, greens. You don't see them no more. You've got old style pressure sensors. Everything's really old school, but it was made for kind of fit for purpose. There's nothing fancy really here. I love the old distributor cap, an old rotor arm inside, all cam driven. So being a clubman car, because I asked the question, the clubman car comes with single throttle body, where the actual works cars were individual throttle bodies. It is a bit of a nightmare to start, but you will have seen that. Dry sump, which again, when the car's been sat for so long, you have to literally go through this area, take the belt off and prime the oil. A dry sump tank, again, I'm just to look how technology has come on and how much it's progressed. This thing is kind of fit for purpose, and it's a beautiful thing to have a go in. It's a beautiful thing to experience. But again, I wonder what it would be like nowadays if you had to recreate this. Even to the little point of old school throttle cable. I wonder how many times they would snap, fray, and you have to replace them. I do like the way they've molded all the firewall. And again, going back to my own personal car, when I put the Perspex firewall in there. Everyone said it wasn't substantial enough, but again, if it's good enough for a Metro 6R4, it's definitely good enough for mine. As I've always said when doing types of projects like this, all rose jointed for fully adjustment. Oh, and you can also see rose jointed anti-roll bar to, like, yeah, I'm going to say WRC spec, but obviously this is a kind of WRC, a blade type anti-roll bar. Really nice to see and sit in front of and experience an old school Group B car. So we're going to sign this one off. What can I say? What an experience. At no point did I ever think Gary was going to go, they're the keys, go and have a drive in it. It's been ticked off the bucket list and I'm blown away. As you've probably seen from the video, absolutely speechless. So it's been really nice to be a part of this with NY500 and Ryders Retros. I can't thank them enough to inviting me along to experience this car and even just stand in front of it. Check out their guys' social medias. We'll put all the links in the description and I'll see you on the next video.